All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Trading Bitcoin with your host, Tone Vays. All right. So much to say, almost no time to say it because the conference is coming. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. So we are going straight to the charts. We're going to do the executive summary. And then this channel is going to go back to talking about the current political situation. Okay. Anyway, let's go to the charts. I'm gonna spare you guys, those that don't want to listen to my opinions whatsoever of those opinions. Okay. Stick around if you want after. Okay. Executive summary on Bitcoin. Technical first, fundamental next. We are the monthly chart with 1 day to go has not changed. We are sitting right at support, and historically sitting at support has led to breakdowns of set support. That support is the intermediate monthly moving average, which should be the 20 period moving average, and it is. Okay. So end of that. No more comment. Weekly chart. Now, about an hour and a half ago, I was saying, wow, this SWIFT news is seriously having an effect. And I'm going to talk about the Russia being dropped from SWIFT and watch Bitcoin soar. And then by the time I, did as much binge watching on 2x speed of catching myself up on the Ukrainian situation and then started this video, it had already dropped to like 38. And now it looks like it's creeping back up to 39. Needless to say, Bitcoin is very, very volatile right now on short-term timeframes, but it has not yet changed anything on the weekly timeframe. I repeat, it has not changed anything on a weekly timeframe and will remain in a bearish channel despite the political environment. Now, the 4-day chart. This is our location chart. Once again, at some point this morning, we were up here above 40,000, but guess what? We're not up there now. And where are we now? Exactly where we were 24 hours ago, the last time I did this video, with this candle still having 2.5 days to go. So my reply is going to be, you can watch yesterday's video, or you can hear me say once again, I am doing absolutely nothing until the technical picture of Bitcoin tells me what to do. And right now it tells me to do nothing. I have the short-term moving average declining, the price is above it. We have the intermediate term moving average rising with the price below it. That is a complete neutral position. And I will not risk more capital going long here with this technical picture. Done, end of story. Daily chart. Daily chart has rejected. Wow, we did hit a higher number last night. This is an up-to-date price, right? Yeah, things are moving, so price is moving. We were above or right at 40,000 this morning. I guess this was late last night. Bitcoin broke 40,000. This is yesterday's candle. Also, we don't know how the stock market is going to behave when futures open late tonight. And the SWIFT ban on Russia is supposed to take place on Monday, but I have not really read into that news. I'm sorry, guys, I did not get to it. I will talk about why I didn't get to it, but afterwards. So I don't exactly know the details of the SWIFT situation. So what happens when a trader is not up to date on the fundamental or news situation? He can only rely on one thing. He can rely on technicals. Is he going to feel totally stupid later by relying on technicals and not realizing a stock, say, has an earnings call in 3 days? Yes, he's going to feel very stupid. I have done that in my trading career. I have looked at a technical chart. This is before, the days of, say, long before the days of TradingView, where you can pull up a chart of a stock like, I don't know, Tesla or whatever, daily chart of Tesla. Whoa, what the hell happened there? Well, Tesla's a bad example. Well, who's got earnings coming up? I don't know, whatever. Somebody that had earnings, right? So in my trading career, I'm like, wow, this is a beautiful bullish chart. Let me go in right here on this breakout of prior swing high And then 4 days later, I go, what the hell just happened? And then I realize I had no idea earnings was coming, right? Like these are like, you cannot make those mistakes today because it's in your face so much. But back in the day, you actually had to go ahead and Google, and what before that, there wasn't even Google, right? To figure out what earnings is. So again, I'm getting off tangent here. Bitcoin executive summary. So when you don't actually have the time, you can still trade because everyone else had the time to read it, and therefore it's already reflected in the price of the asset. It is that simple for a technical analyst trader. And as a technical analyst trader, I don't care what people's opinions are, how simple and stupid my TA is. We got rejected at the 50-period moving average. Almost had to sneeze there. And we are so far on a downward trajectory. How do I know that? Well, I know the current candle still has 8 hours to go, but that also means that the current candle has already surpassed 16 hours. Last time I checked, 16 is greater than 8 by 100%. Basic math, don't need a master's degree. What happens in the current daily candle versus yesterday's daily candle? Well, guess what? We have a lower swing low and we have a lower swing high. So on a trend of 2 candles, it is a bearish trend. Does a 2-day candle trend matter? Not much. Does it matter more than 0? Yes, it does. So until I get a daily candle with a higher swing high, with a higher daily close, I am referring to this as a rejection at the 50-day moving average, regardless of what happens with SWIFT and Russia. Okay, if it is meant to drive Bitcoin up, the technical analysis picture will show it to me. Okay, so the daily chart, I'm not exactly screaming bullish right now and buying the asset. Short-term chart, well, the 1-hour chart, MRI tops are nothing to mess with. Look, every time we hit a daily MRI top, there has been a pullback. This one, not as much. This one, quite a bit. This one, a little bit. All in all, the MRIs have done, on the hourly chart, have done a pretty damn good job. That was a warning. It didn't officially get to an MRI top. A warning is good enough to start seriously paying attention. And we did not get an MRI buy here, so it reversed on you unexpectedly. This reversed not unexpectedly. Is the current hour looking great? Yes. The current hour has 12 minutes. It is likely to close above these moving averages. It could retain it and go up, which means this was a 1 to 4 candle correction. But I am not yet bullish based on this daily chart, not being able to break yesterday's swing high. It has not yet closed. We will see if it can close higher than yesterday. If it doesn't, that is also weakness. And as I said, the 4-day chart is completely neutral and the weekly chart is bearish. That is my Bitcoin summary. We can glance at the premium of GBTC. Today's Sunday, so that's totally useless. It's not trading. Okay, that is my executive summary on Bitcoin. Those that are not interested in anything but Bitcoin are free to go. We have 420 viewers. Next executive summary is going to be right after I do mention my conferences. I really want to talk about the future of unconfiscatable because right now, I know this is a conference that I'm known for. Yes, I refer to it as my conference. It will no longer be referred to as the Vays conference. Okay. I know my priorities are supposed to be with the conference, but considering I am half Russian and half Ukrainian, at the moment, in the last year, my priority has been COVID. And this year, as of a week ago, my priority has been the Russian-Ukrainian war that I put a lot of blame on US for lighting that match, okay? That is becoming my priority and and it's not even close, okay? Now, my attention does need to be on the conference so that everyone comes and has a good time. But after this conference ends, I'm letting you guys know now, this is your last, I'm not saying there's not going to be another unconfiscatable, but I will have absolutely nothing to do with it other than promoting it on my YouTube channel the way I have recently, hopefully not as aggressively. And I will still be responsible for the speakers, probably the agenda, getting the speakers, and making sure none of the sponsors are scammy and none of the speakers are shitcoiners. That would be my only job. And I would ask a developer to put an automated message that if anyone is messaging me about unconfiscatable, to redirect them to someone else, because my priorities are going to be very, very different. Okay, I don't feel like I need to educate people about Bitcoin at this point. At this point, I see myself as needed to educate people about either responsible trading and investing, and even more so, anti-Marxism. And that would become my future priorities, not tomorrow, but in the very near future. Okay, so just a heads up that the future of this conference will not be Tone Vays, but I will make sure that it stays the most Bitcoin focused anti-shitcoin conference in the world. Okay, otherwise it won't happen. Okay, so the only way this conference is happening again is if it is anti-shitcoin, like there's no shitcoins there. It is a Bitcoin, not blockchain conference. I will stick to that. Having said that, please come attend, support. It will be politics free, even though my mental attention will potentially be elsewhere for obvious reasons. And we do have a few seats open for carnivory. We were able to get another room at the Mob Museum. We were able to expand it. This is literally it. That is it. Okay. I know people are messaging me now, but please, like the time to message me and deal with this stuff was in the last 3 months. This is a really hard time to handle everyone's personal requests. Okay. Please sign up. Please register if you want to attend. There's not going to be anything I can do if it's actually full. All right. My organizer sees me talking like this. He's probably going to be very angry. Okay. But it's going to be a great time. Bitcoin. People need to understand unconfiscatability of Bitcoin more than ever, considering what's happening in the political environment. So people are saying, Tone, you are finally going to start a political channel. The answer is yes, potentially at the full expense of all of my businesses that are currently paying the bills. But hey, I've done this before. When I started this channel and I started my career in public speaking, discussing Bitcoin, I wasn't making any money either. Okay, I was making that through trading and savings. All right, so I can rebrand, I can redo it again. There's a reason why successful people can become successful people again after going back to zero, because A, they have experience, and B, they have connections from the first time they were successful. Thunderbird, Tone's going to give us more fascist propaganda. If that's how you see it, then I'm not going to be able to change your mind. Okay. But yes, my channel is going to go anti-Marxism. Whether you see that as fascism, that is your view on politics. Tone can be president. Tone is actually not accepted in any country, right? I wasn't born in the US, so I can't be a US president, and I sure as hell won't be based on my views of freedom. And I'm certainly not accepted back in my old places like Russia and Ukraine all that much, especially based on what I haven't been really anti anything at the moment. But I wouldn't be comfortable in those countries either, right? So I really am a person that is stateless. Ideally, my views of the American Marxism is potentially, well, I'm getting way too political too early. I wanted to look at traditional markets first. But it is Sunday. There's nothing to say about traditional markets. I've warned you guys. If you don't want to hear, unpopular opinions that don't go with your view of the world, this is the time to head off to do whatever. Brandon wants admin rights to boot people. I am trying not to create too much censorship. I just want you to boot people that are inappropriate. I do allow people to have their opinions. All right. Oil. Now I gotta wait. We gotta wait. I have no idea how these markets are gonna open. None. Opinion hasn't changed. Oil on a pullback will go higher. Gold on a pullback will go higher. Those are my personal views. I know I'm using the word will a little too loosely. I expect it to go higher. Stock market, I have no clue whatsoever how the stock market is going to open tomorrow. We do have an MRI buy. The stock market could, tonight, it can open 1,000 points down. It can open 1,000 points up. This is a very serious situation of removing Russia from SWIFT. And I don't know how it's going to affect the markets. I don't know. I can make the argument in both directions. I can make an argument that this is going to completely hurt the stock market because Russia provides a lot of energy and a lot of raw materials. And if that can't get to the consumer, like it's so great if Apple raises the price of their cell phone, but if Apple can't make the cell phone, how is Apple going to make any money? They're going to sell their last remaining cell phones at $10,000 a cell phone, and then they can't make any more of them. I know I'm over exaggerating the situation. Apple does get a lot of raw materials from China, and US is a pretty rich source of raw materials. And now there'll be a fight for Africa to get those raw materials. And Apple may not be very affected. Cars will probably be affected because of the palladium situation and maybe the platinum situation that is coming from Russia. So it's great. Yeah, Ford can sell their last car at $1 million a car, and they can't make another car, okay, because they have removed Russia from SWIFT and they stopped supplying raw materials to the world, right? So I can certainly make an example as to why the stock market is going to fall. If these companies that are driving the stock market, though I know Ford isn't really driving the stock market, can't make a product, okay? Now, you can also see the sector here. Do you guys have any idea how many Russians use Facebook? It's Filipinos, I think, is number one. Americans are probably number two. Russians love Facebook, okay? If Facebook takes the view that all Russians need to be removed from Facebook, do you know how much that hurts Facebook's bottom line? Okay, so we can look at Facebook and we can say, well, you know what, in hindsight, maybe investors realized that if Russia-America escalates and Facebook removes one of their biggest markets, the Russian speakers, from a platform they very much use, that may hurt Facebook's revenue, okay? And so I can make an argument both sides. I can also make the argument that the stock market is going to go through the roof because now people are scared that a full-blown war is going to break out in all of Europe, and they have to send their money somewhere safe. They can send their money to China, or they can send their money to America. At the moment, they would choose America because no one is coming to American shores and invading America. I don't want to even say yet because that's a long, long time away. America is pretty geographically secure, okay? We only have two neighbors and we are way stronger than both of them, okay? And at the moment, those neighbors are not aligning with Russia. Canada sure as hell won't, and I'm not sure where Mexico stands. But I highly doubt that Mexico is going to want to go to war with America at this point in time by aligning with Russia or China, okay? So I can make the argument that all the capital is going to fly into America for safety, driving the dollar up and driving the stock market up. But like I said, I can also make the argument in the opposite direction. Did you see Russia cut off exports of ammonium nitrate? Yes, I did. Guys, I'm trying to keep up with the news on all of this. Ukraine, Russia, I'm trying to keep up with all of it. It's very, very challenging considering my commitments to a conference this weekend. I'm not going to be an idiot saying like the people on The View saying it's so inconvenient for me to go to vacation in Italy. No, I mean, like my personal problems are of no concern to anyone, right? Yes, it's obviously inconvenient that it's hard for me to keep up with all the Russian news, but I also have, you know, a commitment and a job to those attending the Unconfiscatable conference, okay? And so there you go. It's also on my personal level, it is also very unfortunate, not that it is any kind of significance to the Ukrainians' lives being lost, few Russians, mostly Ukrainians, lives being lost in Ukraine, that one of my favorite countries, Ukraine, I may never be able to go there again. And a country that I don't go to very often, but was planning on going there, potentially even in April for a conference, being Russia and Moscow, is pretty much off the table, and potentially off the table for a long time for me to go into Russia, travel to Russia. It's a problem. All right. So where do we begin with the politics? I'm at 500 viewers. Guys, if you don't want to hear about Ukraine, you shouldn't be watching this channel, okay? Those that do want to hear it, and a slightly more neutral, more, I mean, you can say I have a biased view. There's obviously some biased view. Once again, I will preference with the fact that I am half Ukrainian and half Russian, but mostly Russian. By mostly Russian, I mean, my parents grew up north of the Ukraine border, even though one of them was born in the Ukraine border. I grew up in what is now Russia. Formerly was all Soviet Union. It was all one country. I immigrated to America before communism fell. And personally, my family is more on the Russian side, which makes me evil by default at this right now, right? This is the problem. Like what flashes through my mind is, if the war between America and Russia escalate, what happens to the Russians in America? Can it be like the Japanese in America in World War II that had immigrated Japan long before World War II began? Okay. Now you can say right now, oh my God, that's just a conspiracy theory. The US would never round up Russians living on their border that are Russian citizens. And I will point you to, that's what we said about the vaccine situation. No one will ever round up the unvaccinated. No one would ever round up those that speak out against mandatory vaccinations. And they actually did round up a few of them, not to any kind of an extent to put them in a, well, Australia had their little, and I don't want to go too far into that zone, but yes, these are concerns that people need to consider, even though they're not happening now. Where is the trend going, and how is the media going to start demonizing every single Russian speaker in the United States border, considering even I would have trouble distinguishing a Ukrainian from a Russian? Okay, it's not easy. And I know Ukrainians will say that it's easy, but it's not easy. Okay, it's not. So I know I sound angry, but I'm trying to be as neutral and politically correct as possible, which also, as I said, is a very unpopular opinion. Will Russia be the first country to go CBDC? But honestly, I don't even know where to start. Okay, I don't even know where to start. So, and I don't have the. Because I don't know where to start, I'm like rambling on and on and on because I don't know where to start. So I have to start somewhere. Let's start with this question because it kind of resets everything. So Yak Yak asks, will Russia be the first country to go central bank digital currency? So back to unpopular opinions. What do I even open? I'm just gonna keep this here. Maybe it'll promote the conference a little bit so people will come to Vays. Ukraine is now utilizing Bitcoin for donations, just like the truckers did. So Bitcoin is helping Ukraine fight the evil Russians. And because Bitcoin is helping to fight Ukraine, just like Democrat versus Republican, you know, vaxxer versus anti-vaxxer, what one side does, the other side wants to do the opposite. So because Ukraine has started utilizing Bitcoin, or Ukrainians have started utilizing Bitcoin to help their situation, the Russians and their currently superior position in that battle, you can hate me for saying that, but it is, they have a more superior military. That's just a fact. The Russians will not be very interested in promoting Bitcoin because Bitcoin is already being promoted as assisting Ukraine. So it becomes almost a weak position from the Russian perspective to kind of adopt Bitcoin because Bitcoin is being used to support Ukraine. All right, I have Crypto Commons on. I know you guys are a Russian channel, and I have no idea what your opinion is of me and what I've been saying. I know you guys have been watching me. And again, when I go on these Russian channels, whether they're mostly crypto, I don't actually even know whether some of them are in Ukraine, in Russia. A lot of them don't want to say if they're in Ukraine and Russia. A lot of people don't want to be on the political side because it is going to hurt their channels, potentially delete them. So I don't even know. So Crypto Commons is a Russian-speaking channel that I join every now and then, and they have a lot of Russian speakers on it talking Bitcoin price, and I have no idea where they stand and if the people on there are mostly Ukrainians or Russian. I don't know. Okay, and it's better that I don't know. All right. Yeah, well, there's so much to discuss. So on the Bitcoin angle, I don't think Russia is going to go into the Bitcoin and crypto direction yet. They may be forced to go in there, not by choice, but Russia is trying to prove what a powerful country it is. And when your country adopts Bitcoin, you're not exactly proving to your people now that you are a strong global economic power. In the case of El Salvador, it makes total sense because El Salvador wasn't even in the rearview mirror of being a global economic power. So they had nothing to lose. They had nothing to lose by going to Bitcoin. Putin has a lot of reputation to lose with his people by going to Bitcoin. So I don't see it. Ukraine, because Ukraine is on the verge of completely being destroyed by Russia, they have no choice but to go to Bitcoin. They have nothing to lose. Ukraine was also not fighting for global economic dominance. All right. They weren't in that economic battle. So Ukraine has nothing to lose by going to Bitcoin, but Russia actually does have something to lose by going to Bitcoin. So I don't see them doing it. That topic, done. Okay. Next topic. Oh man, I wish there was like a poll of topics to talk about. Russia and SWIFT. I need to read a little more about it, what's actually going to happen. All I see now is Russians lined up at the banks trying to withdraw their money. You would think this would have a greater effect on Bitcoin rising, but clearly it hasn't had that effect. People are telling me about Max Kaiser and what happened. I did not have time. I know I'm being messaged by Mechanic. I want to have you on, Mechanic. I really do. But I don't know. Okay, here's what I know about Max Kaiser. Here's what I know about Max Kaiser. At some points prior to last week, he had a bunch of tweets saying that Russia is not going to invade Ukraine. Don't quote me on these, please. I've spent literally 60 seconds looking at this. I have not had time, but I will tell you my current view on it with my 60-second information, and I will educate myself afterwards. Max Kaiser had some tweets. Now remember, Max Kaiser has a show on RT. Max Kaiser is more connected to Russia than I am because he has a show on RT. I've only been a guest on that show and a couple of other RT shows over the years. So Max Kaiser had some pro-Russia tweets and basically calling the whole Ukrainian thing a propaganda, that there's not going to be a war, but now there is a war. And he went back and deleted those tweets instead of you know, as mechanic texted me instead of owning it. And I tend to agree. If I had done those tweets, I would have owned it. You guys know I would have owned it. I almost never delete tweets, and I usually delete tweets when I said something that was just inaccurate. And I would get tired of defending it. And like, you know what? I was wrong. I should not have tweeted it out. It's been deleted. Okay. And I never, or I delete a tweet immediately because, you know, I misspelled something or I just said something that was incorrect. All right. But if a tweet's been around for a while, I tend to just like leave it there. All right. And I tend to own things. So that's my only comment on the Max Keiser situation. I have not spoken to him. And I have not looked deeply into it because honestly, I have bigger things to read than Max Keiser's tweet history. There's just more important shit. All right. That simple. Next, let me do a quick summary of my prior podcasts and then we will go on. I never even got a chance to talk about this Novak Djokovic interview. I never posted it anywhere. I kind of wanted to stay COVID-free going into the conference, and then the Ukrainian conflict broke out, and then I completely stopped anything COVID and went right into the Ukraine conflict. Academy of Ideas released a video yesterday. I have not yet seen it. Whatever they put out is a must-watch. I will leave it there. I've never seen a YouTube channel that is more in line with my anti-Marxist views than this channel. So whatever they put out, I have not seen all of them. I would love to find the time in my life at some point to watch every one of these videos, but I have seen their last bunch of videos. Anyway, the manufacturing of mass psychosis might be the best video that has ever come out this entire decade. And yes, I will say that. That's exactly what I said. It's probably the best video I've seen this entire decade. Though the decade is only 2 years in. I plan to have it stay that way. Next, I'm just doing a recap. I really enjoyed this channel. Some people texted me about saying how uninformed this guy is because he looks at TikTok. Okay. Are you more informed because you look at CNN? There is no single source of truth. Okay. I don't watch CNN, but if I watch CNN, I'm going to get frustrated with all the bullshit. You can educate yourself very well by watching CNN. You know how? Assume everything they say is the opposite of what's actually happening. Okay. Everything the CNN says is what the opposite of happening. So you could be very well informed. You'll probably be the smartest person ever on the entire Ukrainian conflict by watching CNN and assuming it is the complete reverse of the actual situation. That is what CNN has created with everything they've done in the last decade. CNN used to be pretty damn good, but not anymore. And the sooner it's removed from all airport TVs, the better humans will be. Okay. So where you get your news is actually irrelevant. It's irrelevant. As long as you can see through the bullshit in that news and not buy into propaganda. That is the hard part. That is an incredibly hard part. Okay. Next, I talked about the agreements. All right. This is also important. So I didn't talk about all of these agreements, but you do want to look up the history, and all of this is in the video description, all these links. I want to get to the new stuff. I just like these executive summaries are getting longer and longer of what I've talked about in the prior videos, because not everyone has the time to go back and watch an hour-long video. The Treaty on Final Settlement, this was done pre-Soviet collapse. This is really important. It was done pre-Soviet collapse. Okay. Remember, Ukraine was part of the Soviet Union. Ukraine territory was carved out by the Soviet Union a long time ago, and they never expected the Soviet Union to break up when they did it. So the people that created the boundary and the border of Ukraine never anticipated Ukraine being its own country. That's also very, very important, because when you don't anticipate it to be its own country, that's not what happened to Georgia. the Republic of Georgia. It's not what happened to, it's somewhat what happened to Belarus. It's even called Belarussia. It's the same thing with Belarussia as Ukraine. They never expected those regions to be their own countries. As far as Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Azerbaijan, Republic of Georgia. Yes, those cultures are incredibly different from traditional Russians. Also, as you go further east, Latvia, Lithuania, they're way more similar to Russia, way more similar, because they're right on the Russian border, right? But the further away you go, the more there are distinctions. So yes, those regions had a way higher probability of breaking off, but not Ukraine, not Belarusia. So Belarusia, and a lot of people still call it Belarusia. When you call it Belarus, it's okay. So much to unwind. Also, the whole Kiev versus Kiev situation. Kiev used to be spelled K-I-E-N. Then it was becoming K-Y-I-N. Why did that happen? When did the transition happen? I can tell you my own personal story. I used to always type K-I-E-N. And I want to, I don't want to take away from, what is this? This is my personal Twitter. Okay, this one I can change. This was me last night. We're going to go back to that. Real quick, I want to go to Clown World. My favorite YouTube account, Clown World. In general, okay? I hope the tweet's still there. I mean, it was an honest mistake. And he might have deleted it. Let me see. Yes. Okay, good. I do want to discuss this. Okay, I want to discuss this. All right. So Clown World sent this tweet because if you're not from that region, this seems crazy. Why should we call it Kiev, not Kiev? Okay, Kiev is derived from the Ukrainian language name, where Kiev comes from, this is pronounced Kiev, and this is pronounced Kiev. Okay, so that Kiev and Kiev, okay, comes from the Russian language. Now, the replies to this were very, very negative because right, exactly, Clown World of the Clown World tweet, okay? But this is a very big nuance, all right? Over the last decade, especially over the last decade, maybe the last 15 years, Ukraine has been becoming more pro-West. As Ukraine was becoming more pro-West, it was becoming more anti-Russia, okay? And part of the anti-Russia movement in Ukraine was to remove all association to the Russian language. The Russian language has been like 95% dominant in Ukraine throughout the Soviet Union. After the Soviet Union fell, the Ukrainian language started coming back, more so in the West, less so in the East, because it's closer to Russia. And especially in the last decade, as things happened, they kind of start to escalate exponentially. So when I used to type this, and then I see a lot of people type this. This was happening like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And I actually had to talk to my Ukrainian friends. I'm like, hey guys, what is going on? And why is Kiev being typed out in 2 different names? Which one is it? And they told me that it is, we're moving away from this and we're moving to this, okay? So at this point, now that the violence has broken out between Russia and Ukraine, this is becoming very like insulting and derogatory, okay, to the Ukrainians. Because as Ukrainians are getting killed by Russians, but again, there's more important things to discuss. But just so you understand that everything in Ukraine has been moving away from Russia and towards the West. Okay, now, is that good? Is that bad? No matter what I say here, I'm going to piss people off. Okay, according to Russia, it's obviously bad, okay? Because they see Ukrainians as the same people that want nothing to do with them, okay? But obviously, according to Ukrainians, this is great. We want to be more like America. The problem with being more like America, and I've said this before, America and Western Europe is becoming more like the Soviet Union. See, this is the issue. The American media is completely too socialist and is moving in a direction of Marxism. So while you have this honeymoon period of amazing things under a democracy, while being brainwashed into the World Economic Forum of you own nothing and be happy, okay? This is the issue that Russia is having with the movement of Ukraine into the Western culture, because they see it as Ukraine is not really going to be independent in the future. They see it as Ukraine will be independent for a while, they'll be happy for a while, and then they will be happy and own nothing. So this is the big battle that is taking place. Look, Putin is not fighting for your freedom, okay? I don't want to make it sound like Putin is fighting for like their freedom. Putin is fighting for the survival of their country, okay, as a country. Now, let me finish the summary real quick, and then I'm going to point to something I should have said the first thing when the show started, and I already screwed that pooch. But let's move on. Talked about this. I thought that he did a great job. Please check out all the videos in this video description. They will educate a little bit. The original treaty that Russian government says America verbally promised they would not expand NATO past Germany, and they broke that promise. It wasn't in writing, so I don't know what to think about that. The Budapest Agreement is really, really important, okay? The Budapest Agreement is really important. In that these countries signed it. Ukraine, obviously Ukraine, but the United States, Russia, and the United Kingdom said they would not attack Ukraine, and in exchange, Ukraine removes all nuclear weapons. Now, when Russia broke up, because it was one country, most of the nuclear weapons were in Ukraine. Why were the weapons in Ukraine? Because Ukraine is closer to America and Europe. Do you guys see why Ukraine had an arsenal of nuclear weapons? They weren't in Moscow, they were in Ukraine, because it was a more strategic place to put nuclear weapons in. Now Ukraine becomes its own country. And Russia says, no, these are our nuclear weapons. We are going to take them. But in exchange for Ukraine not being a nuclear power, not being a nuclear nation that can defend itself with nukes, we are not going to attack them, okay? But from a Russian point of view, by Ukraine going into NATO, suddenly there's nukes on the Ukrainian border, okay? So everyone is saying how Russia broke the Budapest Treaty, and they are obviously the aggressor by going in and killing Ukrainians. But I'm trying to explain what, the history of that agreement. And then this is the 2008 statement that suddenly Ukraine and Russia are planning to be part of NATO. That's the NATO map. Okay, these are speeches by Putin before the invasion and after the invasion. It's all in the video description. Now, here's the thing, right? This is a very popular video, and I had to click on it because it has 16 million views. It's a great overall summary, and she speaks very quickly, which is pretty good. But watch this part. Come on, play. Play. They're not going to delete this because this is pro-West and anti-Russia. So the only things that are going to be deleted from YouTube is pro-Russia and anti-West. Because remember, YouTube is West. All right, what's going on? Why is it not letting me play? This is so annoying. I know I have a million tabs, but it's actually important as to why. It's probably what's causing it. I got to close these tabs. I'm going to close Putin's speeches. I got to close these agreements. I got to close this account. It's all in the video description, guys. I can't close Academy of Ideas. I haven't tweeted this out yet. See, this is the issue, right? All right, here we go.
You've heard numerous answers to this question. In Ukraine, 71% of the people believe their country is already at war with Russia. This is a complex crisis.
Is this where I was? Trying to close some tabs. Challenging. I can close the map.
Both Russia and Crimea were part of the Soviet Union. So this transfer did not mean very much. When Ukraine became independent in 1991,
It'll also be my bandwidth.
Crimea joined it. The peninsula was given special autonomy. It remained home to Russian military bases. Moscow promised to respect Crimean autonomy. Many in Russia
Trying to get to that Budapest agreement, but I don't now.
Remain
Experiencing interruptions. Yep, there they are.
Ukraine stands as the largest European country excluding Russia. It covers.
Sorry, guys. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Found it. It was earlier in the video. How quickly code was. Okay, here we go.
Sovereignty. They signed the Budapest Memorandum along with these countries.
See? So there it is, right? The Budapest Memorandum was signed by these countries. Really? This, unless I'm looking at the wrong Budapest Memorandum, right? Unless I'm looking at the wrong one, it's possible I have not looked, is there another memorandum, right? I'm looking at it right here. Unless there is a mistake on this website. And like I said, I have not dug into it. This was written in 2015. So this is not like, you can see the date, all right? So right here in this video that's watched by people, this is some kind of a news network, right? Did they make a mistake? And that's the question you gotta ask. Belarus, Kazakhstan. Am I making a mistake? Am I looking at the wrong agreement? Am I looking at the wrong website? Or did they make a mistake? If this video made this mistake and 60 million people viewed it, what else are they making a mistake about? That is what you have to, and unless they put it right there in the video description that, hey, we screwed up, we're owning up to this mistake. I know it's a minor mistake. I don't think Belarus and Kazakhstan matter all that much in this agreement with UK and US. It also says original signatories. Maybe those were the final signatories. I don't know. But when I saw this, because I read the agreement, maybe I'm wrong. But this is other than this, it's a very good video explaining the conflict.
After November 2013, Viktor Yanukovych was the president of Ukraine.
It's a great video. It's not playing, except at the end where she gives her opinion on the situation on Putin, which is an opinion, and this wasn't meant to be an opinion piece. So other than the very ending, it's a pretty good history of what is actually going on. I did put it in my video description. Again, wasting way too much time on things that are not as important for you guys to watch. What is important for you guys to watch is I did watch this 1-hour lecture by, well, the lecture was only about 40 minutes, and then he did Q&A. John J. Mirschmeyer. A lot of people have sent me this. I finally had time to watch it early this morning. It is an absolute must watch, okay? I don't even want to play this right now. because it's a must watch. I don't even want to close this tab, but this is a must watch video. He literally explains exactly why this is happening to Ukraine. And I don't know how many times he said Ukraine is going to get wrecked unless they pull out of NATO. This is exactly what he said. You can see his slide where he did this. And it was fairly early on of the three things that Ukraine needed to do in order not to get wrecked. And this was in 2015. And he also said there is literally 3 people in all of Washington that understand this. That's what he said. And he said the situation is hopeless and Ukraine is going to get wrecked. So it's playing out exactly like he said in 2015. Like it's really incredible how he did that. Yeah, I can bookmark everything. I know, but bookmarking everything, I may have to do that and take the time to bookmark everything. Next. So I'm not even sure I want to even show a screenshot of this. I put this video in the comment description. It is an American person currently in Kiev. This is an insanely unpopular opinion, but I believe it's an opinion that people need to hear. I don't believe this video will be on YouTube tomorrow. So if you care to hear this opinion, you can click on this video in my video description, and I'm gonna leave it there. I'm not gonna say anything else about it. There's also another video in my video description from a Russian speaker in Ukraine with a very unpopular opinion as well that will probably be deleted from YouTube very, very soon. You'd have to watch it with English subtitles. Guys, if you need subtitles, if there's something in Russian, you can click on subtitles. You then need to go to settings. You then need to go to subtitles. You then need to say auto translate and then translate it to any language you like, and it automatically translates it from Google. Now, if you don't trust Google and their translation because you are like me and you don't trust the American media and the whole, movement into Marxism and censorship, I have no comment for you. But as far as I know so far, the auto translation is somewhat accurate, right? So let's not, accuse Google of messing it up yet. And we may get there one day, right? But yes, the auto translate, you are trusting the Google translation app to translate any, like this is in English, right? Like this one is in English, but I have another one that is in Russian. So you can do it. You can listen to English. Like sometimes they have like actual translation, but sometimes you can let Google do it automatically. That's really important. If you want to listen to someone to a Russian video, let Google translate it for you. It is the functionality is there. If you didn't know about it, now you guys know about it. Okay. This, however, is in English. So if you're a Russian speaker listening to me, well, you wouldn't be listening to me if you don't understand English. So you wouldn't be watching it right now. But Russians watch my videos the same way by going settings, English subtitles, auto generate. Like the functionality is there. What is this? Oh, my comments. Okay. So, oh God, where to next? Oh, where to begin? Where to begin? If my moderators, if you guys find good questions, I'm not looking at your live chat right now. I don't know where to begin. I really, really don't. This is why a 24-hour political channel is almost needed. So my videos, here are all the links in my video descriptions. I'm just going to try to add to them, but the later you start watching them, they'll be impossible to catch up. And I have not even done the research I probably should, but it's the best I got. All right. So comments. Didn't Putin go to Schwab's school? It's all the same game. No. Just because you go to a school doesn't mean you are of the same mindset. This is what people don't understand. I attend the scammiest of shitcoin conferences. I'm not going to go to the Ethereum I'm not going to go to a conference designed by a scam, but I attend all kinds of shitcoin conferences. It doesn't make me a shitcoin, okay? I have friends that are shitcoiners, few. I try to keep my distance, but I have few. That doesn't make me a shitcoiner. Just because someone shows up at the World Economic Forum doesn't mean they think like the World Economic Forum. But yes, the majority of the people that do show up at the World Economic Forum do think like the World Economic Forum. This is the difference. These things are never black and white. Nothing is black and white, okay? Other than trying to be anti-Marxism. Maybe that's a contradiction. I don't know. But probably is a little bit of a contradiction, right? Other than being completely anti-Marxism, which is a horrendous school of thought, right? Well, being pro-Nazi party is also is somewhat black. It's pretty much black and white. Hard to see reasoning there, all right? But I've already explained my reasons as to why I don't see Putin as Hitler. And by the way, this professor in 2015 also laughs at the fact that people perceive Putin as Hitler, okay? And I just saw this, by the way, like I said, this morning. Let's get back to, none of these issues are black and white. So just because someone is at the World Economic Forum doesn't mean they are brainwashed by the Economic Forum. I am not brainwashed by shitcoiners. I go to shitcoin events to try and save people, and I'm giving up. I am completely given up. In fact, I'm going to focus more on, fighting the Marxist takeover than the shitcoin takeover of the crypto space or other stuff. Okay. So no, Putin is not on board with Schwab's agenda, and I can see him trying to fight the Schwab's agenda. He can't be on board with Schwab's agenda. Schwab's agenda is causing Europe to dump all fossil fuels and go dependent on Russia. For Russia to be on Schwab's agenda, they have to stop producing energy and start putting in solar panels. Okay, so no, he's not on board with Schwab's agenda, and it doesn't matter if he's been to their conference. Next, high tone. I've just been told by Russian friends that war is not allowed to be mentioned publicly. It's called Special Operation to Liberate Ukraine. People protesting openly the war are being imprisoned in Russia. Yes, that is correct. That is what's happening in Russia. That's pretty factual. I have not looked into it, but I will assume and be on the side of that is a factual statement. In Russia, as you say, how does that compare to Canada? Here is here's my reply to it. I can explain this, but you are only going to get more pissed off. No one wants to look at this from Putin's point of view. Absolutely no one. There is only one position on the Russia-Ukraine situation. There's only one acceptable position. And that acceptable position is Putin is the devil. If you don't wish death on Putin, then you are also the devil. That is the only globally acceptable position. Okay, this is a similar position to BLM are saints, and you are a racist and a white supremacist by not supporting the BLM. This is the same exact position as everyone must take a vaccine. If you don't support a vaccine mandate, you are an anti-vaxxer, and that is the only acceptable position. And if you have any other position, you are the devil that wants to kill people. Do you guys see some this is the media, this is the Western media view on the situation. The Western media has this black and white view on this situation, okay? I would say everyone wants to talk about the Russian propaganda media. And while the Russian propaganda media confident exists, the Russian propaganda media is not global. I'm sorry. The Russian propaganda media is not infecting the Western people. It is not, okay? The Russian propaganda media is so ineffective at spreading their propaganda across the world that they have lost Ukraine to the Western propaganda media. Do you guys see the difference here? So do I support the fact that Russia is imprisoning people that want to protest the war in Ukraine? No, I don't support throwing people in prison that want to protest the invasion of Ukraine, because it's their relatives in Ukraine and nobody wants their relatives to die. It's their kids in the Russian army and no one wants their kids to die. From Putin's point of view, my media has been so ineffective in keeping our Russian family of Ukraine with Russia that I have to somehow not infect my own population with Western propaganda media. And as these rallies against Russia going into Ukraine for many reasons, Russia went into Ukraine for many reasons. There's a giant list of reasons as to why Russia went into Ukraine. We can list them, but we can get to that later, right? The Canada situation, the people rallying for freedom, the truckers rally, they were not rallying because of government media propaganda, okay? The Western media propaganda, did not cause those people to rally for freedom in Canada, okay? They were fed up with the tyrannical measures of Canada, okay? So I know Trudeau, I know everyone wants to spin. It's kind of like, I forgot who sent this tweet out. I think it was Zuby. I'm dying to see what Zuby's opinion on the Russia Ukraine situation is. Many people are afraid to comment on the Russia-Ukraine situation. And it is more dangerous to comment on the Russia-Ukraine situation than it was to be anti-vaccine mandate. Okay, I am trying to explain this to you guys as neutral as I can, and I am destroying all relationships in the process with my Russian and Ukrainian friends and less so family, but mostly friends. The reason why I'm not destroying my relationship with my family is because none of my family watch my channel. Like, none of them. Speaking of which, so I was saying, this is the tweet I sent out yesterday. I really want to see what Jeet has to say about all this. This is the, if you go to my Twitter profile, like, this is what I sent yesterday, right? Like, I got to last night I had a family gathering. It was smaller than usual. For whatever reason, right? It was smaller than usual. It may or may not have been because of the situation in Ukraine. I have family on both sides, okay? And there was a strict rule not to talk about the war at the family dinner. We talked a little bit after it was only like me and like 2 other people my age left. That's it. I was there basically all evening from around 4 or 5 p.m. To about like 1, 2 in the morning. Okay. So like I said, during that time, that's a giant chunk that I did not get to work on my conference, which is my job, and did not get to catch up on the media. So during the dinner table, I could not even comment on Bitcoin. And nobody in my family uses Bitcoin, and nobody in my family watches my YouTube channel. Okay, so I have not yet destroyed the relationships with my family, but I have with many friends. Okay, and that's the risk I am willing to take to try and explain the situation, because my ultimate goal is to fight the Marxist propaganda that people have been brainwashed on. Okay, so now, where was I? Oh yeah, I was looking at my YouTube comments. So this is the big difference. Okay, the people, the reason why Putin is doing this. Perhaps there is a law that in time of war you can't go and protest, right? You can't compare American democracy laws to the laws of countries that don't have American Western democracies. The laws are different. Okay, we may agree, I may agree with you that the American Western democracy is a better political system, but I'm watching the direction in which the American Western democracy is moving, and it's effing scary. Okay, so while today I can sit here and say the American Western democracy is a better political system than the Russian and Chinese political system, I'm starting to be swayed in the other direction, that it's not necessarily better. It's just different. And if the Russian and Western European political Western democracy system leads those countries into a full-blown communist Soviet Union control of the people, then yeah, the Russian political system and the Chinese political system become better than the Western democracy. I'm not saying it is better yet, but the trends are starting to move in that direction. Okay, that doesn't excuse Putin's military action against Ukraine. I'm not excusing that. I'm not defending that, but I'm explaining the difference. So it's possible that there is actually a law for this. If there isn't a law, they could create that law, because remember, Russia and China are not Western democracies. So they can create laws easier than they can create laws in America. Though in America, with the amount of presidential orders that each president is writing 2 to 3 times more presidential orders, bypassing Congress, not caring about the Supreme Court, with the amount of executive orders that the presidents have been writing in America. How is it different? Explain to me how the American Western democracy is any different than Russia or China if the president is now making all the laws. Yes, Congress also gets to make laws, but the president has been making more laws than Congress has. How is that, right? So eventually, when the president is making 98 laws for every 2 laws that Congress can pass, how is that any better of a Western democracy than a political system like China or Russia? They're not different anymore, okay? Next, so this is the situation. And because of the Western media spreading propaganda, spreads across the entire world, he's trying to prevent the people of Russia getting infected by the Western media's propaganda. And you should all know, if you're watching this channel, you know how bad the Western media propaganda is from what happened the last 2 years with the COVID situation. You know how bad it is, right? So why all of a sudden is everybody trusting the Western media on the situation in Ukraine and Russia? Okay, these are questions nobody wants to answer. These are questions no one is answering. Why all of a sudden the Western media is telling you the truth? Maybe if the Western media told the truth, the entire COVID situation, they would be in a better position to comment on the Ukrainian situation. But they screwed that up to an enormous extent, okay? Now, another Western media unchallenged position is that Putin wants to rebuild Russia. After Putin is done with Ukraine, after he takes all of Ukraine, Putin is going to start taking over all of the other republics. That is also the predominant view in some of my family members who, thank God, don't watch this channel. Or I may no longer be invited to any other dinners. Okay. You don't have to trust the Western media. You know that Putin invaded Ukraine. Yes, I know that Putin invaded Ukraine. But do you know why Putin invaded Ukraine? Okay. You see, I know why Putin invaded Ukraine. So most people don't know why Putin invaded Ukraine. So if you don't know why Putin invaded Ukraine, and I see that you do have Ukrainian colors, Adrian, on your avatar. And I don't know if you are Ukrainian. I don't know if you are Russian speaking. I don't know that. But I know that you are, it looks like you're a Ukraine supporter. It's a very small circle. I could be just yellow and blue. It's unrelated to Ukraine, right? But you have a position on Ukraine, the support Ukraine position, which is the dominant position. And no one is denying that Putin invaded Ukraine. But if you don't know why Putin invaded Ukraine, how is it fair to immediately, like, it's great. If you understand why Putin invaded Ukraine, if you understand Putin's point of view on why he invaded Ukraine, then yes, you have the position that you have. And it's the predominant position. I'm not saying I have the opposite position, okay? I'm not saying I have the opposite position, okay? But yeah, you're Romanian. So you understand communism very, very well. Romanians picked up arms, right? Romanians went into their basement, picked up an AK-47 and started killing. I could be wrong. I mean, my history of the entire world isn't perfect. And started, creating their own regime change to get out of this communist dictatorship. And I don't know how much you see the Western media pushing the communist takeover, the socialist Marxist communist takeover that you guys fought against, okay? Now, what I would recommend is please watch this 2015 video from the professor. The 2015 video from the professor who explains how this Ukrainian crisis could have easily been avoided. The Maidan situation could have also been avoided, but it's a long discussion, and what's done is done, okay? The hatred between Ukrainian people and the Russian people will only grow stronger, and this benefits the West. It benefits the West until it doesn't, right? As the professor says, America should have been making an ally of Russia and not be trying to go to war with Russia. And as he says, America's bigger enemy is going to be China. And if Russia is at war with America, when China becomes America's biggest enemy, guess who is going to be on the side of China? And now America has to fight two global wars, one against Russia and one against China. His ultimate advice was, you need to look further than your presidential term. And at the time of this video, the president was Obama. He didn't state it like that, but that is the takeaway from this video. He's like, you need to be you need to look further than your presidential term. And you want to make an ally of Russia, because the last thing you want is Russia to align with China, because you can't fight them both. Okay. And what is happening right now is the West, mostly led by America, has taken us down this path. Tone, how do you interpret Putin's nuclear threat? It is legit. Okay. Here's another example. Why did Putin and Russia immediately take over Chernobyl? Chernobyl is a nuclear power plant. If this war escalates, and Russia is wiping Ukraine off the face of the earth, which is something I believe Russia doesn't want to do. That's my opinion. I believe Russia doesn't want to do that. Can they be pushed into a corner to wipe Ukraine off the face of the earth? Yes, they can. They can be pushed into that corner to wipe Ukraine off the face of the earth. And if Ukraine is facing complete annihilation, right? If Ukraine is facing complete annihilation, what is their last resort? To take out as many Russians as they can before their country is destroyed. And they have a nuclear power plant at their disposal. Okay. Now, flip the situation to Russia. If Russia loses Ukraine, Russia will feel like they are backed into a corner. And if Western media infiltrates the Russian people, and the Russian people start to overthrow Putin and the Russian political class, they will be very angry at America, right? And just like if Ukraine is being annihilated, they're only this, I mean, like, why would they care? Like, why do you care about, okay, let me give you another example, right? Let's say you have a big grenade in your house. Let's say you have a big grenade in your house, and small local scale. You have a way to blow up your house or your apartment. Let's say you're in an apartment building. You have a way to blow up that apartment building, and someone just came into your apartment building and is killing your wife and child and is about to kill you. You are very angry at them for obvious reasons, to put it mildly. You will kill them no matter how. So if you have a grenade in your apartment and someone just murdered your wife and kid, you're gonna die next. You will use the grenade. You will take them out. And you couldn't care less if you take out every other neighbor in your building. You don't care if you take out the whole building with women and children in it. That is reality of the situation. That is the reality of the situation. The same thing applies to Ukraine, okay? If Ukrainians have control of Chernobyl, and this escalates to the point of the last Ukrainian potentially dying, it's possible that nuclear disaster is going off, okay, to take out as many Russians as possible. Now extend it to a bigger scale. Put it on Russia, okay? Russia loses Ukraine, and now they're completely surrounded by their enemies. And all of a sudden, their regime is being threatened. Their way of life is being threatened. Those nukes are going to go off. And there's nothing US can do about it. And this is what people need to try and avoid, not move towards. And this is what's really, really, really bothering me. I know some people think this is a very stupid point. I see the comments. This is a very stupid point. You tell me if you have a grenade and someone is in your apartment, big apartment building in the center of New York or LA, if someone is in your apartment, you are about to die, they just killed your family, are you not pushing the button? How much are you going to care about your neighbors? Yeah, of course the Russian military was going to secure Chernobyl immediately. It was the most strategic thing they had to do first. And I have absolutely no experience in war tactics. Zero experience. All right, so yesterday I showed a video of a Russian military vehicle pulling back and not engaging a Ukrainian military vehicle. Again, this goes to my original statement that no one agrees with. That Russia is trying to do everything they can to avoid shooting Ukrainian civilians. Does that matter to Ukrainians? No, of course it doesn't matter to Ukrainians. Ukrainians are being killed. Ukrainians are being killed. The Russians are trying to only shoot at those that are shooting back at them. This is not something I would say America does very, very well. Okay? America tends to just bomb all strategic areas, like all areas in general, to when they go in. My view has been from the start that Russia does not want to destroy Ukraine. Russia does not want to kill Ukrainian citizens. Is it wrong that Russia went in killing any Ukrainians? Yes, it is. There should have been a better diplomatic way to resolve it. But they crossed the border and started shooting. Okay, but you have to understand that they're trying their best. There'll be a rogue soldier. There will be rogue soldiers. There's unavoidable. This is war. Okay, but they're trying to keep Ukraine functional when they take it over. When they take over Ukraine, and they're trying to keep it functional. And yes, the Ukrainian people are still going to hate them. And yes, they're going to put in a puppet government. That's the word, puppet government. If you think Trump was Putin's puppet, you are so wrong on so many levels. Yes, whichever government Russia is planning to put in when they take over Ukraine, and I am saying when, because Russia is not going to give up Ukraine. Like, this is not going to happen. I really think nukes will fly before Russia gives up Ukraine. And I know Ukrainians are fighting to the death. And the Ukrainian president is arming every single person capable of holding a rifle. And I see all of these pictures on Twitter, the pretty Ukrainian girls holding a rifle. You see Miss Ukraine holding, an AK. You see it. You see that, right? You see this happening, right? They're arming civilians for it, right? They're going to get shot back at. They will. I know Ukrainians are fighting for their country, but Russia is not going to give up Ukraine. Putin has made this very clear, even in 2008. That's not going to happen. And this is a serious problem. People are not taking this seriously enough. And if people actually took this seriously, this war would not be happening. So yes, I'm becoming an enemy of all Ukrainian people for saying this. If Putin wanted to kill all Ukrainians, he would have already done it. He would have already done it. His global reputation as an evil murderer is already set. The Western media has already made him a murderer. Like it doesn't matter to him at this point. Like he's going to be perceived identically, whether he annihilates Ukraine off the face of the earth or he doesn't. His reputation actually will not change globally. Because of what you said, Adrian, because of what you said, there is nothing more humiliating for a nation that claiming your enemy declare war on you, right? Don't tell it to Ukrainians, right? But what I'm saying is Putin's perception in the global media is the same, whether he only kills people shooting back at Russians or whether he annihilates the whole country. It won't be any different. He's already in the Western media as the most evil person on the face of the earth. That will not change. Tone, stop saying all Ukrainians are fighting as one. Donbass is fighting with the Russians. So I've talked about the Donbass region, but this is another unpopular opinion. And I read your statement. Yes, I have talked about this before. There is probably a larger percent of the Ukrainian population that is pro-Russia than the Western media will have you believe. And I'm saying probably. I don't know this for a fact. And Banks, you have a really long name, right? But the person that said that, yeah, I have talked about this on many, many occasions in prior videos. Now, by the way, guys, the longer I go on with this video, the higher the probability my channel will be completely banned from YouTube, okay? But yes, you are correct. The Donbass region is very Russian ethnic and very pro-Russia. And they've been trying to get independence from Ukraine and align with Russia, and they have not been able to. This was one of main reasons why Putin went in. Again, no one wants to talk about, here are the two things people don't want to even discuss. Nobody wants to discuss three major things in the last 8 years that could have prevented it. Okay, nobody wants to discuss them. They are off the table for discussion. Here are those three things that could have prevented this war. And these things, some of them go as far back as 2008. Others are a little more recent. So here are the three things. Stopping all talk of Ukraine joining NATO. One. Allowing the Donbass region have their own fate and their own elections to be potentially an independent autonomous region like Ukraine wants to be, or potentially let them join Russia if they want. Okay, honest, fair elections in Donbass, and for Ukraine to let Donbass go. Nobody wants to discuss this. Okay, and the third one is after Russia took Crimea, the Ukraine has prevented water from getting to those people. And Russia recently, a couple of days ago, blew up a dam to provide water for that Russian region. After Russia took Crimea, which they were not going to give up, right? What's happening to Ukraine now is a fractal of what happened to Crimea. Russia was not going to give up Crimea after the Maidan removal of the president in 2014. Russia took Crimea because Crimea was the most important part of all of Ukraine to Russia. Okay, so they were not going to give that up. Nothing would have stopped that, right? But if you read the news, Russians had to blow up a dam so that there's water in that region, right? Like Ukraine was not preventing water from getting to Crimea area, right? No one wants to discuss those three things at all, okay? No one wants to discuss them at all. I'm not saying the outcome of it. I'm just saying nobody wants to discuss them. No one wants to bring them up. No one wants to discuss these three things, okay? Discussing openly these three things could have helped avoid Russia going into Ukraine right now. What's done is done. Okay, you can't take that back. I don't watch RT either, by the way, guys. I have not seen any RT. None. I have not been watching American press on this. I have not been watching the Russian press on this at all. I don't want either side of the propaganda to get to me. All right. Now, no one wants to bring it up. No one wants to discuss it. Okay, at all. Now, those are the main reasons. Those are the main reasons. No one wants to discuss those reasons. I know it's a one-sided discussion. It's my channel. I had something else to say, but I already forgot because I was like thinking back at those three reasons. Okay. I have to look at some of my chats. I do have a chat that I discussed this. Hold on, give me a second, guys. Right. By the way, two of those things that professor talked about in 2015. The third thing, the water thing to Crimea, obviously started happening later. I put a lot of blame on US and the West for what's happening right now to my people. Again, remember, I'm half Ukrainian, half Russian. And I put a lot of blame on the US for creating this, for lighting this match. Don't you think Putin proved his enemies right, even those that were eventually lying about him or Russia? Okay, so here's my answer to that, right? If you come to my house and I have the most loyal, most nicest attack dog in my house, right? And for the last year, you have been saying how evil and how deadly and how violent my attack dog is. You can prove your point by coming to my house. I go to the bathroom and you start smacking my dog in the face. You will prove your point. So yes, the answer to your question is yes. Putin did prove to his enemies what he's willing to do because he told them what he's going to do. And he got smacked in the face enough times that he proved to his enemies what he's going to do. Same example. I know analogies could be stupid and silly, but that's the example. My dog, my loyal guard dog, has never even shown his teeth to anyone. In 10 years, he's been loyal to me and guarding me. But within an hour of me walking away, you can certainly prove to the world how deadly he is as if you do enough stuff to him. You know, other than Putin invading Georgia in 2008 for the same exact reason, the NATO reason, you know, where else has Putin sent his troops killing people? And during that time, how many troops did America send to kill people? Am I sure I'm ready for all the backlash? No, I'm not sure. Absolutely not. I'm not sure I'm ready for all the backlash. So it's also why this is still trading Bitcoin, because I don't want my YouTube channel banned before my unconfiscatable conference. And again, I hate to sound like the incompetent people on The View whose vacation plans to Italy have been ruined by COVID. And I don't think I mean, maybe not this situation, but it will ruin their plans to go to Italy for the rest of their life if this escalates into a full-blown East versus West war. But I loved going to Ukraine. Love the country. I love going to Ukraine more than I like going to Russia. And I don't think I'll ever go to either of those countries again. Though it's not, I don't really go there on vacation. I go there for work. It's work. It's my work. Yeah, Adrian, I'm literally speaking to you in your text. I agree with you. It pains me to see both sides of my people shooting each other and killing each other. And this could have been avoided. And that's my biggest frustration, is that no one was interested in avoiding this. No one. Everyone was cheering this on. And right now, from my point of view, everyone is making it worse. No one is trying to make it better. And guess what? Even if the Ukrainian president now wanted to go to the negotiating table with Russia, it would be seen by his Ukrainian people as surrender, which is a lot of Ukrainian people don't want to do. But a lot don't want to die either. Okay. All this happened under Trump. It continued under Trump. But guess what? Trump can't solve everything. Okay. Here's the difference, right? I know all this happened under Trump, but Trump, contrary to the Western propaganda media, Trump was actually a lot less tyrannical and dictatorial than the presidents before and after him. Do you guys see? This is the thing. Trump was not a dictator. Again, whatever CNN says, you have to assume it's the opposite. You have to assume it's the opposite. Trump was not a dictator. There was no war under Trump. Trump's one of the first presidents in history, never been in war. Okay. Would this be happening if Trump was president? It's possible, but significantly less likely. Significantly less likely. Okay. See, you guys don't realize that the dictators are in office before and after Trump. Maidan happened under Obama. That is correct. Now, should Trump have done more to save Ukraine from this? Probably he should have done more. But it was an unpopular opinion. Imagine Trump coming out and saying, hey guys, we're going to remove any possibility of Ukraine joining NATO. And Ukraine, you're going to have to deal with Russia, right? How would that have been seen in the Western media that hates Trump? If Trump would have tried to solve this problem, he would have had to publicly announce that NATO is withdrawing Ukraine and Georgia from any consideration. The media would have ran with that story that Trump is a Putin's puppet and he's handing Ukraine and Georgia to Putin, who would have no military resistance by taking over the world, starting with Georgia and Ukraine. That would have been the global dominant mainstream media narrative. Okay? Trump could not do that. He had no ability to do that. Now, Putin probably, and I'm saying probably, would not have had an interest in taking over Georgia and Ukraine, but the Donbass region is still a reason for him, right? That's why I mean there are three things. Those three things needed to be resolved. Ukraine going into NATO, allowing autonomy for Donbass, and also allowing people in Crimea to get water. Putin would have wanted those three things. Otherwise, even if Trump did come out and removed Ukraine from NATO, which would have been a political death sentence for Trump, because the media would not have supported it. And the Ukrainian people would not have supported it. The Ukrainian people would have been angry at the West, because prior to Trump, the Western Europe and American media have been promising Ukraine that they would defend them. And where is that defense? Where is the NATO American defense for Ukraine right now? It is non-existent. They may be sending them some guns. They'll give them guns. Okay, they'll give Ukrainians more guns so that the regime of Ukraine could put guns in civilians' hands and very likely get them killed by the Russian military. How is that helping Ukraine? How is that helping the Ukrainian people? Like, again, these are the things nobody wants to discuss. How is helping the Ukrainian people fight to their death is helping the Ukrainian people? I'm not even going to get into controversial conspiracy theories, right? Look what I stayed away from. Let's be honest here. Look what topics I have stayed away from. The topics I want to put the right thing on the screen here. This, or maybe I should just take screen share down altogether. I need to glance where the price of Bitcoin is. It's not looking good. It's not bad, but it's not looking good either. Okay. I'm going to stop screen share. Look at the topics I did not discuss, right? We discussed important topics. Here are the topics I did not discuss. I did not discuss the neo-Nazi angle at all. We can discuss it, but I did not discuss that angle. Okay. Lots of speculation on both sides. I have my opinions. I'm trying to stay away from that. I did not discuss that. Also did not discuss the bioweapons angle, another potential conspiracy theory. I'm staying away from those topics. Those topics are way too controversial, and way more complicated. Okay, though they're way more complicated. They require. I want to stay away from those topics. Okay, we've all seen it. The military strikes by the Russian military onto areas that have been removed from certain American websites as to where the bio labs were. Like, I don't want to get into that at all. I don't believe Putin is, for those that take the conspiracy theory in the opposite direction, Putin is trying to save the world from evil pharmaceutical companies. No. Let's stick to like reality on the ground. Okay, let's not go in that direction. Okay, same thing with the claims that the Ukrainian regime is dominated by neo-Nazis. Not getting into that. Okay, maybe another day we can discuss it, but not now. Not now. I know it's a popular topic. Not now. All right. I think I need to stop. I need to stop eventually. I need to actually work because there's a conference. All right. Just checking your live chat one last time. I see the comments. I see the comments. Look, I'm doing these videos and putting myself in this harm's way for one reason. One reason. I want the maximum number of Ukrainians to live. That's it. My secret motivation, what's driving me to do this and potentially get my YouTube channel banned is to save as many Ukrainian lives as possible. Are my opinions always going to be correct? No. But that is my motivation driving me right now. Because I've literally been to Russia 2 times since I became an adult. And I've been to Ukraine about, I don't know, between 6 and 10 times since I became an adult. And I don't know when I'm ever going to be in those countries again. And if people are unwilling to discuss the reasons for why Putin went into Ukraine, then this will only end with the maximum lives lost. Starting with Ukraine, moving on to Russia, and then potentially even America if nukes fly. I'm going to end up on Rumble, maybe BitChute, but I'm probably going to end up on Rumble. And I'm probably going to end up on Trump's social media app, I hope. I don't see myself being on Western media if I continue trying to explain these situations. No, I'm probably not welcomed in Russia. And I'm definitely not welcomed in Ukraine right now. And I'm barely welcomed in America. So welcome to Tom Vays' life. Where to next? Where to next? All right, guys. Thank you all for watching. Please check out that video from the professor from 2015. Check out the other links I posted in this video description. And if this channel is still around, tonight or tomorrow morning, we will do this again. All right. Hopefully, I'll see some of you in Las Vegas. I'm happy to discuss it in person. I'm sure some people are going to sign up just to curse me out and call me a Russian, what's that term? Apologist. That's the new word for anyone that even tries to raise points on why the hell this is happening and what can be done to save the maximum amount of lives. Thank you, guys, and see you all on the next one.